as the Ministry of Education and call it public participation. This is exactly what happened before the purported launch of the policy. We cannot be invited as flower girls to go and cheer a policy that we have not participated in. We will never be flower girls. The Constitution gives us the mandate to participate in any policy formulation. The content of CBC is heavily borrowed from Professor Douglas Odhiambo Task Force report, which was otherwise rejected in 2012 by stakeholders. Once a report is rejected, it is permanently dead and buried forever, unless another commission is appointed to undertake that process. Worse still, it is laughable that the Ministry of Education, while developing CBC, is purporting to have benchmarked with Tanzania, South Africa, Malaysia, Zanzibar, Ghana, Burundi, Uganda, among others, where CBC has failed. And our research department is detailing reports of all those countries, how CBC has failed. And we can give you South Africa. Teachers taught it for 6 months. And because it couldn't work and they were not prepared, they boycotted teaching and reverted to outcome-based curriculum pedagogy teaching which they were trained. And that's how it died. In Malaysia, a rich economy, 15 times stronger than ours, the country shifted from outcome-based curriculum to competency-based curriculum. And competency-based curriculum in the long run is very low in terms of content of knowledge. Basic education means basic. The emphasis is greatly on knowledge. Malaysia realized the damage it was doing to its citizenship, and it reverted back to outcome-based curriculum. And when the ministry tells us that they benchmarked with failed countries, then they're telling us we are very sure it's a matter of time before we declare that this program has failed. And I'm saying here today, we cautioned them about the laptops. And the laptop failed via the reports of the ministry. Reports of the ministry, that puts it at 5% success. Yet 70 billion shillings has been wasted to deliver only 1 million tablets. Not laptops, tablets, 1 million tablets, which currently half of them are dead, dysfunctional, and the purported teacher training, which was undertaken by TSC, did not skill any teacher at all. So it is waste of taxpayers' money and resources. 70 billion could have employed all the required teachers of 104,000. And this is another preparation, is a huge rip-off that you have never seen. In fact, if this country is talking about corruption, don't look for corruption anywhere. Come to education and this curriculum review process and use a telescope. You will see many activities of corruption. And it's a matter of time before it collapses. It sounds strange and unprofessional for the Cabinet Secretary to purport to be launching national curriculum policy that will anchor CBC before summative evaluation of the pilot phase of the curriculum is conducted to establish whether what was piloted is better than what was there before 844. And this is where the big question lies. When the pilot was conducted during the wrong time, the middle of the academic cycle, June to October, did we get any report? Did we really get any report? And even when it was extended last year, 2018, for what was called national piloting, yet indeed there was no activity at all. Do we have a summative evaluation report? From the professional perspective of education foundations, that is a necessary step. That we have a summative evaluation report that then is able to tell us the findings of the pilot compared to the current education system that is obtaining. And it is from that pilot summative evaluation that the National Education Conference can be caused to consume and decide and approve the rollout. After approval by the National Conference, then is escalated to Parliament through a session of paper. So the other question, the session of paper that we have seen in Parliament. I'll not talk about it. It is a document of the National Assembly. Did it originate from a national conference? And did it originate even from such a process? Whether that was piloted is better than what was there before. Was still, there is no known quality needs assessment report to guide the process. Dr. Juan has opted to be arrogant at KICD and is throwing tantrums instead of reasoning with us. The needs assessment was poorly done, and therefore it cannot guide this country. Summative evaluation is key in curriculum development. What Professor Magoha presided over at KICD yesterday is unheard of, and mark it, it is unheard of, and has never been witnessed anywhere in the world. And you know, we are speaking as teachers, professionally, as men and women who are trained to deliver teaching. Many countries are now focused on outcome-based curriculum. And that explains why the UK has declined to adopt the CBC. The UK has declined. And the United States teachers have refused it 3 times. Because it's a proposition of business interests who want to mess up public education so that they can promote privatization. Even here in Kenya, when you look at it, simple indicators, the private school owners are purporting that they are ready because they know the public schools don't have the infrastructure to drive CBC. Neither do they have personnel or even classroom. So CBC rollout is only meant to kill public schools and public education. And globally, if the world is moving to strengthen outcome-based curriculum, why are we moving to do what Professor Magoha is doing? What Professor Magoha is doing is toying with the curriculum reforms. Malaysia has reverted to outcome-based curriculum after a brief rollout of competency-based curriculum. And all those proponents who are condemning the outcome-based curriculum, basic education is basic. Mzingi, elimu mzingi. You're being given knowledge, and knowledge to prepare you for post-basic training. And that explains why Kenyan students have done very well everywhere. In the Ivy League universities, and nowhere in the world do you get an active media like the one you have in Kenya, because you are equipped with the necessary knowledge. And that's why the summative evaluation was necessary, to inform professionals. It is not something that is done politically and impulsive. And I wish to say at this point, there is no more professionalism in CBC. There is 100% and above politics in CBC. And that is how this country will be killed, and that's how public education will be killed. According to established norms for CBC to succeed, 1, the development and implementation of CBC must secure full stakeholders' involvement and participation as a constitutional requirement. This must go beyond teachers. Everyone must participate. Particularly when you're talking about CBC where parents are involved. Are parents prepared? Do they even understand the concept of CBC? And are they ready to supervise and assess even learners at home? Do they have that capacity? When we are talking about a nation where poverty index is at alarming percentages, the parents of this country are fighting with poverty, food and clothing. They have no time to engage in such a pedagogy. 2, all public schools must have adequate infrastructure to accommodate increased number of learners to deliver CBC. And I'm asking Professor Magoha, do we have the right infrastructure in terms of classrooms, in terms of furniture, in terms of teaching materials? Because a teacher is expected to prepare a file for every learner in every lesson. How do you do that in a congested classroom of 70 learners? It is completely impossible. 3, implementers who are teachers of CBC must be trained adequately on the new curriculum and training from the pre-service. CBC cannot work when you utilize teachers who are in service to change their pedagogy to CBC. In fact, what we have here is not change of education system. you people of the media. It is change of teaching, because we are changing from outcome-based pedagogy method to competent-based pedagogy method. You need time to train teachers at the pre-service course before rollout. So that we have proposed that the rollout can be from 2023-2024 in another document which I've not attached here, so that there is enough time to change the teacher training curriculum and train teachers with competency-based pedagogy skills to roll out the curriculum. What is happening now is punishing the teachers who are in service, who cannot interpret the design, and who even have been trained by trainers who are innocent. They don't understand. Who are tabula rasa, blank. They cannot understand the CBC. How do you have a trainer who doesn't understand the CBC training teachers in the classroom? It's a paradox. And you men and women of the media, walk to the classrooms everywhere in Kenya and beam what is happening. You will believe what we are talking about. Presently, trainers of trainers, TOT, lack the prerequisite skills and competencies to interpret and implement CBC designs. 4, there must be standard assessment procedure of learners. And currently the Ministry of Education, TSC, KICD, NEC, and Kenya Institute of Education have all failed to agree on an assessment procedure. There is no agreement on an assessment procedure. Absolutely. And would like Kenyans to be convinced about an assessment procedure. When we talk simplistically of continuous assessment tests, and those tests are not there, then we wonder how this will be done. 5, implementation of CBC requires small class sizes as per UNESCO recommendation. For personalized teaching, which means more classrooms, more libraries, more workshops, computer rooms, and more schools have to be constructed. Most public schools in Kenya lack basic infrastructure. And we want to thank some of the sections of the media who have highlighted even schools that do not have classrooms. Classrooms being undertaken under trees, or teaching being undertaken in dilapidated classrooms which are flooded. We've seen in course. These are realities of Kenya. And these ivory tower policymakers who don't know the state of infrastructure of schools are theorizing and forcing something that will not work. There will be no fairness to the disadvantaged children, even in ASAL areas and in public schools. 6, at least 3 teachers per class are required, which Kenya cannot afford presently. The country faces an acute shortage of teachers. 7, teaching tools and infrastructure needed for implementation of CBC are far above what the country has provided to schools. There is no evidence of government's commitment to avail these resources. And Professor Laban Airo's report, which was adopted by the government through the National Steering Committee on 19th of December at KICD, put the conservatory estimate of 365 billion as money required to roll out from pre-primary 1 to grade 3. The question is, the nation has not discussed the economics of CBC. The government has not committed that it shall avail 365 billion to install infrastructure and avail learning resources. What we have seen in the budget is only 2 billion for computers and CBC. That will do nothing at all. And then 8, inadequate learning facilities, poor infrastructure development, and lack of trained teachers for CBC in public schools is only advantageous to private schools, which are now doing lucrative business at the expense of public schools. We are almost convinced, and we are yet to carry out a detailed study. Somebody might want to destroy public schools to promote chains of private schools for purposes of business. Where is Olympic primary schools at Kibera that used to top in exams? It was destroyed by promotion of private schools. The 100% transition is not a generous offer from government. It is meant to destroy the best secondary schools in the country. And eventually, you compel the country to shift to private education. We see very far the devil is in the details. There will be no equity. And we are not going to support, let it be known, we are not going to support a process that is going to kill public education. Because the child of Wanjiku is in a public school and must be protected. And 9, the curriculum implementers have confessed after the training and continue admitting that they are ill-equipped for CBC rollout because they were inadequately trained on its framework, content, and teaching methods and interpretation. The trainers cannot interpret the designs of CBC. So really, there is nothing going on in the classroom. CBC is only in the mind of Professor Magoha. Yes, you have a thick skin, but CBC is hidden inside you and KICD. It is not in the Kenyan classroom. That's the truth for sure. If nobody has told you, we are telling you today. Hence, failure to adhere to the standard and professional process of developing curriculum, including putting in place the legislative framework, risk undermining the legitimacy of the process and rollout of the new curriculum. This will undermine the country's pursuit to deliver equitable, quality, lifelong education as outlined in the Sustainable Development Agenda. In fact, we are opening a great window of inequity coupled with poverty and the economic challenges that we have. Then you can imagine the type of nation that we have and the destruction that will do to our children. The child of a poor man will have no opportunity anywhere in the world. Unlike at the moment, a child of a poor man, through the process that we have, can be admitted to an Ivy League university and be somebody. But with this one, this is meant to destroy the weak. In fact, it is an elitist strategy to destroy the poor and use the poor as a business source. Because you compel a huge population to shift from public to private education, which they cannot afford. In fact, it is worse than colonialism. This is a matter that calls for total outburst and liberation. And we are asking everybody in Kenya to understand, when the teacher refuses, there is something wrong. We will be vindicated from this position, the way we were vindicated from the laptops. And this one, we are fighting it to the end. We are not about to give up. We will do it and do it to the end. Lastly, Mr. National Chairman, and this statement is important to you, we hereby direct all our members, like the way their counterparts did in South Africa, and they have not died, they are still teaching, and they succeeded, they saved the country. The way their counterparts in the United States stood firm, free time to oppose this system, the way their counterparts in the UK and the rest of the world have stood. We direct all our members to revert to teach using outcome-based pedagogical framework until the nation of Kenya agrees on whether to go the curriculum review or the curriculum reform process through a professional process that the nation of Kenya shall approve through its institution. So that's very clear. What it means is that we have urged our members to stop wasting their time and their mind implementing what they are not skilled about. Forget about it. You are doing injustice to children. So stop teaching CBC in short and continue teaching with the traditional methods and teach very well. Be in class at 8 up to 5 and teach well until when we shall advise you properly. And then away from this, 3 things in addition. The Teacher Service Commission is not the independent constitutional commission that we fought for. With the arrogance and the obstinance that we have seen, the impunity that it is applying in molesting and intimidating teachers is going contrary to the spirit of the Constitution. And mark this, we are analyzing with our constitutional lawyers and human rights experts on the performance of TSC and the future of TSC. TSC was created by teachers, and particularly it was created by Kenya National Union of Teachers. And you know, a carpenter who makes a table will know how to dismantle that same table. It draws its authority from the people of Kenya. And we might be recommending to the Building Bridges Initiative that Teacher Service Commission shall be one of the questions of the referendum. Together with the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, we have seen it. They are wasting unnecessary resources. Those resources could be harnessed to hire more teachers and create employment. Sasa punguza mzigo, tuko ndani, tutakuwa ndani. Get rid of SRC, salaries can be managed by the National Treasury. You can see the lectures we are getting left, right, and center, and we are urging members of parliament, we can do a constitutional amendment to do away with SRC completely with a 2/3 majority, and to reduce Teacher Service Commission to be a saga and a department at the Ministry of Education. Why do you have 2 regional directors drawing salaries and doing the same thing? Why do you have several county directors, county director TSC and ministry, and all of them combining to molest teachers and drawing salaries doing the same things? We would like to rationalize this, and we are sounding this very, very clearly. And then thirdly, we will be recommending to the Building Bridges Initiative that is moving forward. We have seen ministers who are arrogant, ministers who cannot be elected even by 10 people in this country if they were to go through election. It was a mistake for ministers to be appointed outside parliament. A minister appointed from elected members of parliament draws authority from the people and respect for the people. We have seen arrogant ministers who have no respect. And the Ministry of Education has been very unfortunate with a chain of arrogant ministers who are not electable anywhere in the world. We shall also be recommending that the Constitution be amended so that all cabinet ministers moving forward shall be elected members of parliament who can sit at the floor of the house and be accountable to the people of Kenya. And we are so convinced, drawing from experience, Professor Saitoti was an elected member of parliament of Kajiado North. And while rolling out the free primary education, he never abused us. And we supported him. And we engaged in consultation. Professor Ongeri never abused us. Mutula Kilonzo never abused us. Those who are elected men and women, we can name. Kalonzo Musyoka never abused us. Joseph Kamodo never abused us. What is this group of species of the Magohas of this world who are arrogant and we even don't know where they come from? And that is why this government will fail, because of this group of people. And it's unfortunate. This is a matter, and we are appealing to the National Assembly, to the Senate, to the people of Kenya, able to punguze mzigo saa hii, and we correct all these anomalies so that the society can be respected. We are not going to work with a minister who does not respect us. Let the president know we shall not work. We respect the head of state, we respect the government, and we must also be respected as citizens. We are not going to work with chains of arrogant men and women who abuse us from morning to evening. Magoha has been talking about meeting stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders that you can meet other than the teachers who teach? We have not had any meeting with him, and we have not refused. And so, Mr. National Chairman, that is where we are. We take this communication to the people of Kenya and let Kenyans know that where there is smoke, there is fire. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And we urge Kenyans to understand what is happening. And it's you, men and women of the media, who can communicate well. We are not about to give up tomorrow. We will not be arrogant about all these issues, particularly the teachers who have been interdicted. We have given TSC 7 days to clear. If you don't clear, we will come for you at the expiry of 7 days. And teachers of Kenya, be united and go back and teach using your traditional methods until we tell you at that time that we shall have agreed on how the reform process shall take. Without any agreement, we shall not support the reform. And we are telling Professor Magoha, continue rolling out the CBC in your mind and in yourself. It is not present in the classroom. Thank you, Mr. National Chairman.
Yes, that is the position of Kenya National Union of Teachers in relation to CBC. Huo ndo msimamo wetu kuhusu mtaala huu mpya, na kama vile mnenaji wa chama aliposema, hatubanduki, tumesimama ngangari. Tumeeleza vilivyo mapungufu ya mtaala huu, na sisi ndo wataalam katika mintarafu ya mambo ya elimu. Tunaposema jambo hili si nzuri, tuna hakika tuna ukweli. Na mwaulize mwajiri, muulize ndugu yetu Magoha, ukiwa na mfanyikazi wako nyumbani na akwambie katika shamba hili kuna mambo haya si mazuri, kama wewe ni mwajiri mwenye akili, msikize, muulize yule mfanyikazi kuna shida gani. Lakini ukianza kumtukana na kumtusi, basi unakosea. Nichukue nafasi hii kuambia walimu wetu Kenya mzima, Mungu aliyetuletea mahakama ni Mungu ambaye tutamshukuru. Leo hii tunapoketi hapa, mahakama yetu imesema walimu wetu ambao walisimamishwa kiushenzi na mwajiri huyu ambaye hana akili, walimu wetu warudi madarasani, waendelee kufundisha. Kwa hivyo ieleweke leo kwamba wale mama kule TSC hawajui lile jambo analofanya. Walimu wetu kaeni gangari, mnenaji wetu amesema endeleeni kufundisha, sisi tutasimama na nyinyi, mfundishe kwa njia ya kawaida. Hii mambo tunawaambiwa na hawa ambao hawaelewi. Aliyevaa kiatu ndiye anayejua kinafinya wapi. Sisi wataalamu wa elimu hatutasita. Tukiitwa tutawaeleza vile tumeeleza. Magoha kama daktari basi aendelee kutibu watu. Mambo ya kufundisha ni yetu. Mambo ya Ngoswe mwachie Ngoswe mwenyewe. Msimamo wetu ndo huo. Asante sana. Kama mna swali basi mweza kuuliza, tutaweza kufafanua. Na kama mmeridhika basi waambie, na muende kwa madarasa muangalie. Ulizeni walimu wetu. Mwalimu amefundishwa miaka 2 kufundisha mtaala ule wa awali. Leo hii wampeleka mahali siku moja ama siku 2. Wasema ameiva sasa, anaweza kufundisha mtaala huu mpya. Tuwapeleka wapi nchi? Mwambieni Magoha tafadhali. Mwambieni Magoha tafadhali. Kama vile walipasua watu wazima kule vichwa, asipasue watoto wetu. Asante sana.
Swali, yes.
Haya, uliza swali baba.
My question is so brief. You are part of the Education Committee. Maybe in one way or another, have you tried to engage Magoha over this issue, and what exactly have you resolved at the Education Committee?
The standing orders of the National Assembly gives the chair of the committee as a spokesman. And the standing orders are very clear. I cannot use the privilege of information of the Education Committee to make pronouncements outside when I'm doing my duties. So the parliamentary process is a process in its own, and it has its own life. I'm here working as the Secretary General, and I've spoken as the Secretary General, and I'll speak here as the Secretary General. If there will be a parliamentary statement that I'll have to make, I'll make it at Parliament. But as of now, I don't want to speak on behalf of the committee. There is an able chair who can speak what the committee is thinking.
Basi kama hatuna swali, swali moja. Haya.
Taarifa yenu hii si mara ya kwanza umeweza kuitoa, lakini hapo jana waziri wa elimu akasisitiza kwamba licha ya zile kelele alikuwa anasema anasikia wataendelea mbele. Sasa mtafanya nini? Maana serikali ikisema inaendelea mbele, itaendelea mbele. Mwisho wa siku mtafanya nini?
Tukwambie hivi, tulikuwepo kabla ya Magoha.
Na tutakuwa na ataondoka.
Aha. Kaimenyi walikuweko na wengine. Tulisema wakaita kelele, lakini baadaye ukweli ulibainika. Twasema leo bila uoga, ukweli utabainika.
Na kuongezea, tulisema mambo ya tarakilishi ama laptop. Lakini sasa inajulikana tulikuwa tunasema mambo ya haki. Kweli ama urongo?
Kweli.
Pili, because laptop is at 5% success. 5% and 70 billion. You can force it. Hata Biblia wasema, you can take a cow to a river, but you cannot force it to do what? To drink water. From that biblical perspective, we've never rolled out a curriculum in acrimony in this country. And that cannot succeed anywhere. And the train that left the station without the captain will not stop at the next station. It is likely to crash. I'm giving you an example. South Africa. If teachers boycotted and the whole thing collapsed. And finally, the question is, will Magoha teach? Will he teach in every classroom in Kenya? Every classroom in Kenya. It is the teachers. And the teachers have spoken. And we've made it very clear. We will teach using the normal pedagogical method that we were trained. And that's the advice we've given out. What force is he going to use? To dispatch officers to go and harass teachers? And the report, ile tumepewa, ni kwamba hata wale maafisa wa elimu na tume ya kuajiri, wale field officers, hawaelewi hii CBC ni nini. Huo ndio ukweli. That is the unfortunate situation where we are in this country. And let me ask, who in Kenya, among all these teachers and experts, has ever taught through CBC? None at all. And we needed to take time to do the correct things. Kwa hivyo, hiyo msishtuke. Tukisema hatufundishi, that one don't doubt. Hatutafundisha. Tutakuwa darasani kufundisha kwa njia ya kawaida, in the interest of the child and in the interest of the public. Thank you.
Swali la mwisho ndugu yangu.
Hey.
Despite your concern sharply coming out with separate curriculum and the training, several members of the union joined the training that was happening over the holidays. You care to address that and why?
Now, I've stated in my statement that teachers were policed to the training centers and intimidated. And those who did not turn up have been interdicted and others arraigned in court. Is that how to roll out a curriculum? You can be forced as men of the media to go into a conference. But the trainers cannot even train you. What happened in the training centers is that they only collected allowances, but they are more confused than they were. That's the truth. What is a training? To effectively skill someone. They were not skilled at all.
Labda uwe wa mwisho dada.
Bwana Katibu, jana waziri alisema kwamba umewahi kuhusika katika mikutano ya wadau na nashangaa ni kwa nini sasa unapinga. Akasema kwamba kuna sahihi yako ambayo na katika mikutano.
Magoha is still a stranger in the ministry. And you men and women of the media, you know too well we raised our concerns. Some of them documented in the process of being in those forums. And let me remind Kenyans, the last steering meeting where I sat and we took resolutions took place on 19th of December, 2018. And we agreed to defer the rollout to 2020. That's the only meeting where I participated. I have not participated in any other meeting. Neither meeting has been called to review the change. That is being mischievous. The truth is, being in a meeting does not mean you agree to everything. And we have raised our reservations. And we have moved further to undertake a research study, and this is our position, complete with the findings and recommendations. That does not mean sitting in a committee means approving everything. We have our legitimate right as a union to defend our position, and we did so in those forums. I can see Wanzala, I can take Wanzala's.
Okay. It's here.
No.
After the training, you are part of the way
I'm not going to answer the second question. I've answered. And we have spoken the position of teachers. And let me make it clear. Being part of the process does not mean a license for the ministry to take shortcuts, hide in the offices, do wrong things so that we can rubber stamp. We will not be flower girls of a process. The moment it is flowed like it is now, we will not sit in those meetings. That we are very clear about it. We are not being mischievous. We are talking about due process of curriculum review. There was no policy, and we have raised. There are no statutory instruments. And why roll out? From the moment it was rolled out secretly without our approval, we have never approved. Let the ministry bring documents where we approved the rollout. Bring it. Ouma, ask Magoha to bring evidence of a meeting that approved the rollout in January 2019, and we appended our signature. We have not. Then the other question that you have asked about the assessment, we have given you here. We are very good in doing a quick baseline analysis. If you want a detailed report, we shall give you. That the teachers after the training, even in the month of April, and you mark it, are more confused than they were before the trainings. I have spoken. Thank you, Mr. National Chairman. Go and ask Magoha.
Basi tufikie kikomo basi. Pelekeni ujumbe.
Also in our subgroups we'll post the soft copy.
And then Ali, you'll do the roll call.
Then